5 patients at a sweltering Hollywood nursing home died in Hurricane Irma's aftermath as people confronted a multitude of new hazards in the storm's wake, including oppressive heat, brush clearing accidents and poisonous fumes from generators. Hollywood Police Chief Tom Sanchez said investigators believe the 5 deaths at the rehabilitation center at Hollywood Hills were heat-related, and added, "The building has been sealed off and we are conducting a criminal investigation." He gave no details. A total of 115 patients were evacuated from the nursing home, which lost power in the storm and had no air conditioning. Sanchez did not answer questions regarding whether a generator was running inside the place. In the Miami area, a Coral Gables apartment building was evacuated after authorities determined a lack of power made it unsafe for elderly tenants, while officers arrived at the huge Century Village retirement community in Pembroke Pines to help people on upper floors without access to working elevators. More than half the community of 15,000 residents lacked power. Also, at least 5 people died and more than a dozen were treated for breathing carbon monoxide fumes from generators in the Orlando, Miami and Daytona Beach areas. Aside from the nursing home deaths, at least 13 people in Florida were killed in Irma-related circumstances, many of them well after the storm had passed. A Tampa man died after the chainsaw he was using to remove branches kicked back and cut his carotid artery. Elsewhere, Irma has been blamed for 4 deaths in South Carolina and 2 in Georgia. At least 37 people were killed in the Caribbean. In the battered Florida Keys, meanwhile, county officials pushed back against a preliminary estimate from the Federal Emergency Management Agency that 25% of all homes in the Keys were destroyed and nearly all the rest were heavily damaged. Things look real damaged from the air, but when you clear the trees and all the debris, it's not much damage to the houses, said Monroe County Commissioner Heather Carruthers. The Keys felt Irma's full fury when the hurricane roared in on Sunday with 130 mph winds. President Donald Trump's Homeland Security Advisor, Tom Bossert, said the federal government is working to help Florida Keys residents secure shelter through rental assistance, hotels or pre-manufactured housing. Trump plans to visit Florida on Thursday. For many of Irma's victims, the days ahead are likely to be soggy, sweaty, dark and discouraging. One of the biggest worries is the fate of Florida's many senior citizens. The longtime retirement destination has the highest proportion of people 65 and older of any state, 1 in 5 of its 20 million residents. On Tuesday, Florida Governor Rick Scott said he had received a lot of calls from nursing homes and assisted living facilities having problems with generators. "We're doing everything we can to help them get either generators, fuel, power back on." "It's one of the things we're doing aggressively," Scott said. At the Hollywood nursing home, Jean Lindor, a kitchen worker, said through a Haitian Creole translator that the air conditioner had not been working since the storm and it had been hot inside. Broward County Medical Examiner Dr. Craig Malloch said the bodies of 2 victims, women ages 71 and 78, had been brought to county offices for autopsies. They were sick already. "It's going to be tough to tell how much was the heat and how much of it was they were sick already," Malloch said. At the Coral Gables building that was evacuated, 5 firefighters went up the dark emergency stairwell, strapped Ophelia Carrillo, a frail 97-year-old woman who is immobile and has heart problems, to a special evacuation chair and carried her down. "This is the most stressful situation I've lived in my life," said her daughter Madeline Alvarez said. The number of people without electricity in the steamy late summer heat dropped to 9.5 million, just under half of Florida's population. Utility officials warned it could take 10 days or more for power to be fully restored. About 110,000 people remained in shelters across the state. While nearly all of Florida was engulfed by the massive storm, the Keys, home to about 70,000 people, appeared to be the hardest hit. Drinking water and power were cut off, all 3 of the island's hospitals were closed, and gasoline was extremely limited. Search and rescue teams made their way into the more distant reaches of the Keys, and an aircraft carrier was positioned off Key West to help. Officials said it was not known how many people ignored evacuation orders and stayed behind in the Keys. Crews also worked to repair two washed-out, 300-foot sections of US 1, the sole highway that runs through the Keys, and check the safety of the 42 bridges linking the islands. The lower Keys were still off-limits, with a roadblock in place where the highway was washed out. On the mainland, one of the evacuees taken from an